If you get any questions, please add them to the chat.
Hello,
And
and in this video we're going to be taking a look at how we can work with imperial elements and blocks and symbols in our metric drawings. Hi, my name's Greg Benson-Shettle, one of the very many certified AutoCAD instructors here at Revit. Okay, I have over 20 years experience working with the Autodesk products based from working in a studio where I was the manager, where we undertook all manner of projects from different industries. And now I share that experience as a trainer here with Greytech. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a few topics which I'm going to break down. We're going to look at, well, where can we get blocks from? Okay, for AutoCAD and other products. We're also then going to look at gaining an understanding about what something called units are. These are the actual measurements by which any particular symbol or block or family has actually been created. And then we're going to go on and look at some of the best practices of how we can use blocks that are in fact at different scales. Yeah, feet, inches, so on, etc. And we'll also look at how we could change the scale of any blocks that we download so we can actually use them. So, first of all, where do we get our blocks from? Well, obviously, you will have your own libraries if you've been using CAD programs for any particular time. These could be served in your local hard drive or your server. Either they're blocks that you've made or your colleagues have made. And of course, having a good selection of blocks is the lifeblood of efficiency when it comes to using AutoCAD. But if you need others that you haven't got, now either you're going to make them yourself. However, if we go onto the internet, of course, we can do a search. We could look for search terms such as AutoCAD blocks free, DWG block download, etc. And most of these sorts of offerings will produce a whole list of different places where you can actually download different blocks and content. And up on screen at the moment we have a collection of sites that I get content from, and there are many more besides these. So keep in mind when you go to any of these sites, not only will they be offering you free stuff, but they'll be also offering collections that you can purchase as well. And those purchase ones, you know, they tend to be of a slightly better quality, for example. Now there's also bimobject.com. Now this particular site is a very good site. It's quite a trustworthy site. It actually used to be Autodesk Seek, but they franchised it off, and it does require registration to download objects from there. And note that some other websites may also require you to register, which will simply mean providing an email address. Okay, and then you get access to be able to download all of these blocks. On the bimobject.com site, not only will you be able to download DWGs, but there'll be Revit files, SketchUp files, IFCs, OBJs, and quite a few other file types that you can download for all sorts of different products. And on the BIM object, a lot of the blocks that we can find on there, they've actually been generated by a lot of leading industry manufacturers. And with that in mind, also, if you are specifying specific products from manufacturers, remember to take a look at those companies' websites. Many of them will have a downloads page, a BIM downloads page, for example, and in there, they'll very often offer their own products as CAD files in various different formats. So keep this in mind. And also, caveat, when you're downloading anything from the internet, it's always at your own risk. So we've got no association with any of these names that I've suggested on screen here. So we cannot guarantee the quality of what you're going to get. But that's the same for all of us whenever we download anything from any website. And if a website looks a bit hooky, if it doesn't look quite right, or there's too many adverts, for example, it's probably a good idea to avoid them, just in case. Okay, now then, so those are some places where you can actually get some stuff. Let's get into the actual demo. So here I have downloaded from some of these sites some objects, and we're going to be taking a look at some of these. Note that sometimes you'll have them downloaded as collections, in which case they may actually be a zip file, for example. There's zip files here, and some may come down with odd extensions like .dwg, .dwg. So, you know, be careful. If it looks odd, it probably is. This one is just, I think, just a file naming error, and it works just fine. So let's take a look at some of these. So here we are in AutoCAD. I had Revit open a moment ago because we'll have a quick look at that a bit later. So here are some tables and chairs that I'd like to bring into my drawing here. Okay, so let's see what happens. I could simply select this item here. Okay, I could select this one, do a simple Control-C to copy it, and we can come over to my building drawing and then go and paste it in, Control-V. Oh, look at this. It is tiny. So this is the type of thing I'm talking about. You can download files and you may find that they're either way too big or way too small for your particular drawing environment. Now, whenever you get drawings from anywhere, it's the first thing I recommend you do is to gain an understanding of what drawing units have actually been used to create it. Now, to do that, type the word units. Then you click on units, and here's what we see. So for us here in Europe, then we're probably going to be working in decimal. We'll have some precision points here, and it's likely to be in millimeters. Of course, it could be, if you're looking at larger projects, civils, it could be that you're well working in meters as well. But the important thing here is that this drawing knows what its drawing units actually are, and that's the key. Now let's take a look at that other drawing. Let's go back to this collection. So this collection I downloaded, these aren't actually blocks. You'll notice it's all just actually line work. Okay, just line work. But let's do that same test, and we type in the word units. And here's the thing, look at this. Insertion scale, units, precision, and type is architecture, and you can see there that it isn't feet and inches. And in fact, if I was to measure something, so if I measure from here to here, let's see what it says. Well, it says 6 foot, 6 3/4 inches. Okay, so that's why it's coming in so small, because when we bring this in, now if I just change the units that it's actually using here for a second back up to decimal, this will help explain things. If I do that same distance command, look what we have. 78.74. So that's why it was so small. It was when we just copied and pasted this into our AutoCAD file, which is millimeter based, it was literally 78.74 millimeters wide. And there's the crux of the problem. So how can we work with this? Now, there's a couple of things we can do. Now, first of all, because this is one big drawing with lots of samples on it, I want to isolate this and make it its own particular drawing. So we could copy and paste this into another file, or we could use a little AutoCAD command such as W block, which is right block or world block. Okay, like so. And here it's going to ask us to pick a base point. I'm going to hover over here, get a tracking line going, and I'll hover over here, and then I can pick up the middle of this table, so that will be the base point. And then I'm going to use this button to select the objects for this particular item, and press enter once you're done. Now, here's the thing, look at this down here. Insertion unit inches. Now I'm not going to change that. I'm going to leave it on inches. And I'm going to just decide where I'm going to put it. I'll call this dining table. And I'm just going to put this on the desktop for experimentation purposes, for testing purposes. And go ahead and click OK. Right, now let's go back to our drawing. Let's see how it works. We go to the Insert ribbon. Let's click on Attach. If this doesn't say DWG, perhaps it says All Image Files, for example, use the drop down here under Files of Types and change it to DWG. And then I'm going to go to my desktop. Let's look for that dining table that I just created. There it is. And we click on Open. Now, another dialog box will open up, and here's where it gets interesting. Let's find out. Right. Look right here. Block units. It has recognized that it's in inches, and because the drawing that I want to insert this into is in millimeters, it's going to apply a scale factor of 25.4. Now I know that I want to rotate this through 90 degrees, so I will actually use this rotation feature here and say 90. Then go ahead and click OK. And look, now I have the table and it's come in at the correct size. So just because something is in inches, it doesn't mean that you can't use it. And it also doesn't mean that you have to waste time trying to rescale something to the correct size or making it usable at your preferred sizes. Providing all of the drawings know what their drawing units are, if we use this insertion method, AutoCAD is smart enough to just go ahead and apply an appropriate scale factor. So you don't have to waste time in that way. Okay. So let's have a look at one of the other scenarios. Perhaps you download something and it comes down in feet and inches or inches, but you do need to make it metric. How do we make stuff metric? Let's take a look at that situation. Okay, I'll choose a different example here. Let's try just this one here. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I will just copy this into a blank template. Okay, so I'm just going to open up a blank drawing. I'll just check the units that I gained on this occasion. Okay, so it's decimal and it's in millimeters, and that's just fine. Back to this example. Now I'm simply going to copy and paste them into this other drawing on this occasion so that we can work on it as a separate drawing. So Control C, or you could go right click, clipboard, and copy, or copy with base point perhaps, and I could choose center of that circle, and then we go over to our new drawing, and I could go right click, and we could do paste, and I could decide where to put it, maybe about there, and of course it is quite small. And if we use the distance command here to measure it, or we use the measure drop down and go distance, now we can see what's the width of this table. It's 31 millimeters. Okay, a typical little coffee table such as this, a common size is around 950 Okay, 950 millimeters. So it needs to be significantly larger. So how do we change this into metric, into millimeters more specifically? We use the scale command, okay, and we will be using the units so that this drawing knows what it is, okay? So now it doesn't matter which order you do this in, either you change the units first. So when I say change the units, if you've opened up a drawing and it's all in inches, okay, you could go to units, and if this happened to say, for example, feet or inches, or even worse, it said unit less, and which means you don't know what it is, okay, this method will work for you. So you would change it to millimeters. Check up here that this actually would say decimal as well. Because if you set it to architecture, any measurements you do will be in feet and inches. Look at the precision here. So make sure that's on decimal as well. So that's part one. And then we can use the scale option. I'm going to show you two ideas behind this. So I'm going to go scale. We'll select everything and then go ahead and press enter. Then going to ask for base point, so I'll just pick up on the center of this circle here. And the next instruction is actually specify scale factor. So as this was in inches, and I want to bring it up to millimeters, to scale it up precisely, I'm going to be scaling it up by 25.4, like we saw in that insert feature a moment ago. So 25.4. Enter. Do a quick zoom extents here, and let's find out how big this is now. Okay, this is a smaller table by the looks of it. It's well, actually, that's about the same size, isn't it? We're looking at 400, which would be an 800 millimeter wide table. So as you can see, that has worked perfectly. We've now got a millimeter based chair and table set. Now, what if you did want this to be all slightly bigger than that and you wanted it to change it? We could use the scale command again. Now I'm going to undo that scale just so that you can really see the difference. I don't have to do that, but for demonstration purposes I will. So let's just test this again. So there we are, we're back down to the inches version, and I'm going to use the scale. Now this time I'm going to use the scale command, but I'm going to specify the actual size that I'd like it to be. And this is a really fantastic technique. We go to scale, we select everything that we want to scale, press enter to finish the selection, pick a base point, and then we take a look down in the command line, and we're going to make really good use of this reference option. So the reference option means that AutoCAD will ask us to specify the 2 points, one side and then another side, or a length. Now the instruction we receive when we try this is a little confusing, so we'll go through it. It says reference when you bring your mouse back in the working area. Now the instruction reads specify reference length. And you might think, okay, well I want it to be 900. But that's not actually what this instruction means. What it actually means is specify first point of reference length. So that means I'm going to pick this side of the circle, and then the next instruction reads specify second point. But that's going to be the other side over here. And now we get the opportunity to specify a new length. And I'm going to specify 900 because that's the size I'd like this to be. Do a zoom extents. And now you can see, when we look at this circle, it's got a radius of 450. We've now been able to bring this from inches to millimeters. And it's as simple as that. And then, of course, you can use this any way that you like. So I could even just copy and paste this in, Control C, and I'll Control V, and as you can see, it's the right size. Okay. So there we are. These are the methods that you can use for when you download files or you receive any files and they're either unitless or they are in inches. You can either use your insert tool or they're using the attach and then change it to DWG, and it will figure out what the units are, providing it knows what those units are. Or you could use the scale option and scale it either by 25.4, or you could scale something to your preferred size. And then you can start working on it. Okay, there we are. Hopefully that was all fairly straightforward and simple. And of course, we always have questions regarding, well, Revit and things as well, because we can download Revit files from most manufacturers' websites, as well as the likes of bimobject.com as well. Now, the thing with Revit is, it's not actually a problem, because Revit is a database-based CAD program. I could quite happily, if I just draw a wall in here for a moment, and I'm just going to go over and bring in another file. It's just about me. I'm going to go into this BIM object symbol one, which I extracted earlier. So look, those are, so this BIM object one, these are all the DWGs. But here I've also got some Revit files. These are family files for those people that are not familiar with Revit. This is like a block in AutoCAD, but it's called a family. And I will simply drag one of these in here. Just going through an upgrade. So that's the actual unit. I'll load it into the project. And here you can see it, I can just load this into here. It comes with a warning, but that's just particular to this actual family. It's not something that you generally see. And just for checking purposes, if I take a look and measure this door, it's 689, which is the right size. And that's the thing with Revit. It is quite happy to bring in any file, and again, it knows what its units are. And if I type UN in here, project units, one of the amazing things with Revit is that at any time you can change your units from one element to another type. I can change this to inches if I wish, and it still works. Okay, because it just does all the conversion for you. So it's never really, or it's rarely an issue with these sorts of things in Revit. Okay, there we are. Now, hopefully that has all worked out well for you, and it's been a nice, quick demonstration of what we can actually do. So thank you for taking the time out to look at this video that I put together for you. I hope you found it useful. If you need to get in touch, please feel free to drop me an email, or you can reach out on LinkedIn. So until next time, thank you very much. All the best. Bye-bye.